We're going to move on to our next public hearing, which is, what is it? A resolution amending the 2014-2019 six-year Water Resources Improvement Program to add the Syrie property bank stabilization and add additional funding for emergency repair work at Swift Creek. And let's see, do we need a brief staff report? Looks like we've got one ready.
Very brief. This will be an action by the Board of Supervisors for the Flood Control Zone District, and to remind you of that. This is an amendment to the current six-year Water Resources Improvement Program. You've already looked at the emergency repair work for Swift Creek. You passed a supplemental budget, but the RCW requires that any capital project be part of the improvement program passed by resolution. And we added to that a bank stabilization project that you've been discussing for some time, and that's been included so that that work can commence this year as well.
All right. I'm going to open the public hearing. There isn't anybody signed up, but anybody that would like to speak to this can come down and do so. The whole 3-minute rule, 30-second thing applies.
I don't need 3 minutes to say, hello, I'm Terry Wexler of Bellingham, and I so oppose this. I actually need a bank stabilization project at my house. We're screaming towards six figures and pulling it back, and the irony is a foot behind where I'm putting in this retaining wall to stop the South Hill from coming down on my house. It's all city property. You know, there's certain responsibilities of owning property. I remember fishing as a little girl when I was 10 years old in Louisiana in Falls River, and I wanted to know, what could a river do that would be false? Well, it's not a river, it's an oxbow lake. I've known about meandering rivers since I was 10. You buy property next to a river, you know what rivers do. Please, there's so much we need to do in this county around water, and this should not be one of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak to us on this issue? Seeing no one else, I'm going to close the public hearing. What are the wishes of the council? Ms. Brenner.
I'll move approval.
Okay, Ms. Brenner has moved approval as drafted. Mr. Mann.
So we have two items in this one, and I support the emergency repair work at Swift Creek. I think, as everyone knows, I'm very adamantly opposed to the using public funds to bail out a private landowner that has somehow jumped the priority list that we were set up very carefully a number of years ago. How do we, can we, I guess I'm asking Roland or maybe our clerk, can we still send this forward with only one of the items approved if I want to make a motion to remove the bank stabilization?
Yes, you could. And for the record, this is Roland Middleton with Whatcom County Public Works. My understanding is, and I can ask Paula, or you might know, the bank stabilization project was put on there by request of the Board of Supervisors in a vote. So you had 4 at least votes.
Well, I'm not giving up yet, Roland.
Okay.
But we would vote again and find out whether it's changed.
Public Works is not bringing this forward. We're reacting to a vote that was given to us by the Board of Supervisors.
Right.
So until that's changed,
I guess then my question is more procedural, not as to whether you support the property banks for the bank stabilization project, but whether we can just vote to remove that right now, and then our public hearing is still adequate, and we can still go ahead and fund Swift Creek.
Paula Cooper, Public Works. This is kind of the first time we've amended one during the course of a year. I think I would recommend treating it similar to the 6-year transportation improvement plan.
What?
I would think that you would treat this similar to what you do with the 6-year transportation improvement plan. So if we brought it forward with both projects. If you could amend that on the floor, I would think you could do that here too. I don't know if our attorney.
In other words, we would remove the one that we didn't want and just pass the resolution with the emergency Swift Creek in there.
And we can revise the document to reflect your wishes.
Okay, so then, Mr. Chair, if I could, I would move that we remove the Syrie property bank stabilization project from this resolution and retain only the Swift Creek emergency repair work funding.
Okay, so we have that amendment in front of us. Mr. Kremen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This has been a tough issue. As I've already stated, there's merit for voting either way. But upon further deliberation, I originally did vote to support this, but I have pondered and deliberated over this issue, and had the Department of Fisheries and Wildlife 6 or 7 years ago, provided approval for a permit to rectify or address this problem, this erosion problem, then it would have cost somewhere in the vicinity of $6,000 to $8,000, and now we're looking at a price tag of $750,000. And so I am going to support the motion that was made by Councilmember Mann. I do it reluctantly, but I think that spending $750,000 on something that, first of all, barely eked out a majority vote of the advisory committee and was not included in the 6-year plan, I just find it difficult to support the expenditure of the large amount. So I'm going to support Councilmember Mann's motion.
Ms. Brenner.
Well, I'm not going to support it. I hope we do the stabilization too. And I just want to make a couple of comments because we basically, this whole thing, first of all, has the SIRE name and the politics involved with it. And a number of the emails we got, were pretty personal. And this whole thing has just gotten too political. I have absolutely no connection or ever want to have a connection with David Sire or anybody else like that. The problem is I went out there, and not only did what I see rise to the level of worse than turbidity, it was like super mucky brown. I did speak because we kept being told, oh, well, there's no experts coming to tell us, and I don't think it's their job to come and tell us. So I did speak to somebody I trust in the field who did not want to get in the middle of it, and he said it is causing problems, and it can in the future cause more. Furthermore, no one's mentioned this, and apparently we're the only ones who know about it, but 200 feet came off of that. It's getting pretty close to the highway, a state public highway. And I'm sure it's the state's job to take care of it, which they'll shut it down and do what they want to do or can do after the fact. But we have an obligation to the people who live out that highway, too. So it's about a public benefit to me. It's a big part about salmon habitat to me. And I wish it had somebody else's name on it. And we do this for on private properties at other times, by the way.
All right, we have the amendment in front of us. I'm going to speak in favor of the amendment. I wasn't here for the original vote. I was absent that evening, but I would have voted against it then, and I'm going to vote against it this evening for the same reason. I mean, it's a low priority problem on our priority list. $750,000 can go a long ways to correcting a whole bunch of the other water issues we have in front of us. I'd like to protect everybody's property, but we just can't afford to. Ms. Brenner.
Again, it's not about protecting everybody's property. It's about protecting property that has public benefit. And I'm trying to remember. Paula, maybe you can tell me. I recall that the first vote on those things happened before that huge amount came off. Was it 200 feet? And I think that you don't know? Okay. I think the vote was taken before that happened. So it's been moving pretty quickly, And I just feel like we're putting a lot of people's ability to get to and from critical services and everything else at risk here. So I do think it's important. Nobody likes the price. And when we talked about it in the Surface Water Committee, it was my understanding that some of the money would be requested from, I don't know if it's the property owner or the district or something. Sorry.
Paula Cooper, Public Works. Our repair and maintenance program has a 70-30 cost share, and that 30% would be requested from the Sumas Nooksack Everson subzone. We're still kind of vacant. We only have 2 out of 5 advisory committee members right now, so we're trying to actively recruit people in that district.
Well, 30% less for the county, and I think that's appropriate, is still a good chunk of it being less. And I just feel like the danger to public benefit does I've never seen anything that looked like that when I went out there. And again, I don't claim to be an expert, but we were elected to use our judgment too, and that's my judgment.
All right, we have the amendment in front of us. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
So that passes 5-2 with Mr. Crawford and Ms. Brenner opposed. Now we have the resolution in front of us minus the bank stabilization project. Any discussion on that? And we're doing this with our Flood Control Zone District Board of Supervisor hats on. All right, all those in favor of the resolution say aye.
It's a roll call,
Oh, it's a roll call, that's right.
Barry Buchanan,
Yes.
Sam Crawford,
Yes.
Pete Kremen,
Yes.
Ken Mann,
Yes.
Carl Weimer,
Yes.
Barbara Brenner,
Yes.
Rud Browne.
Yes.
So that passes unanimously. We're on to our fourth public hearing. Hopefully they get easier. Resolution amendment.
And we have 6. You said 5. Don't we have 6?
Do we have 6? I don't know.
Well, we did. I don't mind if
We
one.
do have 6.
We have 6.
Resolution amending the 2014-2016 six-year transportation improvement program to modify the title and project limits on an existing project.
Roland Middleton, Whatcom County Public Works. This is simply to modify the title of the Gooseberry Point pedestrian project. In the Uplands lease agreement for the Lummi Island ferry use at Gooseberry Point, identified Lummi Nation transportation projects, and it said, including but not limited to Gooseberry Point. We put the Gooseberry Point on the 6-year. We really should have put the Lummi Nation transportation projects on the 6-year. This is simply correcting that.
Can't get much simpler.
All right, thank you.
Wait a second.
Wait a minute, we got a question for you, Roland.
Okay, I missed a little bit of that. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we threw that on there because this was part of the ferry lease negotiation.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct. And the ferry lease negotiation, the Uplands lease agreement, Exhibit C, talks about $2 million year 1, $2 million year 5, $2 million year 15 with
right.
et cetera, right? It talks about transportation projects. Then it asks us to include those on the TIP.
Right.
The first ones they wanted to include is the Gooseberry Point.
Right.
So, but additional ones are coming forward.
Oh, okay. But the
those are
Gooseberry
identified.
Point pedestrian project still goes forward.
Correct.
Because that was, okay, I see.
Yes.
So this is for the second $2 million.
Just broader.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Roland, could I just ask you to clarify one thing?
Sure.
Going over the following page, you say remove Mackenzie from and Bolt from to, and then leave blank where you're referring to in that document.
Is this for the first $2 million? Because that should be limited to that.
Oh, what that is the limits, the project limits within the transportation improvement program. So it does not limit that to be part of the project, the Gooseberry Point project. So essentially, anywhere on the Lummi Nation that is a transportation improvement project, the Lummi Nation identifies, we agree to, meaning it's within the public rights of way and is part of a transportation improvement. For the
So that's referring. That was just a boundary marker for the Lummi Reservation, was it?
That's a boundary marker for the Gooseberry Point project. We're taking those out because it could be anywhere within the Lummi Nation.
Okay. But it is defined as anywhere within the lamination,
Correct.
somewhere. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Fine.
Any other questions?
Just a clarification along the lines of what Mr. Crawford brought up. When we negotiated that lease, we agreed to do some improvements to the Gooseberry pedestrian stuff for I don't know, $150,000 or $200,000 right down there, and then I think there was going to be 3 payments of $2 million every 8 years or something.
The first $2 million was for what we're now taking out of this.
I don't remember the first $2 million being dedicated to Gooseberry Point improvement projects.
It actually is $2 million for any transportation project the lamination brings forward.
And because they had to match it. They had to match it
yes,
too, right?
Yes, and that none of those amounts change. It's all right from the lease agreement. So the first one they identified was Gooseberry Point.
Right.
The next one is Lummi Shore, but they also may be doing improvements at Haxton and Red River Bridge. There's additional work that might be done at Chief Martin. There's a whole group of different ones that we're working with them on that would, if it meets all the other things contained in the lease agreement, if it meets all those things, then they can use that 2, and coming up in 16 would be 4, and then 2026 or whatever it is would be that additional 2.
So the reason why we included this, and it's all coming back to me reading the words Balch and McKinsey, because we looked at maps, we poured over maps, and they wanted sidewalks and streetlights. That's why we defined this area. Are we saying those are no longer the priority, those locations?
They are, but they are identified by the project limitations specifically that we're working with the lamination on for that project. But any other projects that come forward, that $2 million and soon $4 million would be available for.
I feel like we're having the same discussion as with the PUD and where they can. because there was a priority. Okay, the only thing I'm questioning is that first out the gate was to get the sidewalks and all that kind of stuff, and sidewalk, curb, gutter, street lights, the whole thing, pedestrian
And my
crossings.
understanding is they will be bringing that forward for our review for engineering services in the next couple of years.
So it's not left the list.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, it hasn't.
Mr. Kremen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Briefly, Roland, as brief as possible. I like things concise.
How about a yes or no?
In case you hadn't noticed. Basically, what you're asking here is that you want to correct an oversight or that
Yes.
somebody, either with staff or whatever, put down as you just want to correct an oversight and elaborate a little more fully of how the money can be spent. Correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
All right. Any last questions? I'm going to open the public hearing. So all the public that came to talk to us about this important issue this evening can now line up. Seeing no one, I'm going to close the public hearing. And what are the wishes of the council?
I'll move approval.
Okay, so there's a motion to approve this resolution. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. We're on to our fifth hearing, which is a resolution authorizing the sale of surplus property pursuant to our WCC 1.10. I'm going to open the public hearing. There's no one on my list. Is there anybody who wants to talk to us on this one? Seeing no one, I'm going to close the public hearing. What's the wishes of the council?
So move.
All right, there's a motion in front of us. Ms. Brenner.
Okay, let me get to the list. Oh, this is the surplus oh, no, we're not there yet.
Yep, surplus property.
Okay, we are there. I had a couple
Did you get to test drive all of them to see if they're really surplus or not?
No, I did a lot of Scrivener stuff. Forget that. No, this was about the equipment. It's what page is that on?
258, more or less.
258. Oh, I'm close now. Yeah. Okay, here we go. 258, 259 actually. I just have a few questions. Are you it tonight, Frank? I'm wondering. What?
I just identified myself.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, these are vehicles, and I'm wondering, most of them have less than 100,000 miles on them, and I don't understand. These weren't for the sheriff's office or anything. So why are we getting rid of, and I see they're old, but they just didn't have that many miles on them.
Pick one so that I can.
Okay,
more
let's
readily
pick the one that's got
identify
91,500 miles.
Which,
the Ford Ranger.
how about a unit number?
Yeah, 1996. I've kept vehicles longer than that.
It's a 19-year-old car.
I
need a
know, but
unit
we
number.
don't go by. Hey, some of the older things and older people
I'm just saying it. I'm just stating
mellow
that
with
as a-
age, but it just doesn't have that many miles. I thought we were
The fifth
keeping
from the
stuff
top.
longer.
1, 2, 3. Oh, unit 126.
Yeah.
As
126.
you'll note in the right-hand column, that
I'm
was the
sorry,
unit that was
yeah.
turned in by the department for fleet reductions. So we're reducing the fleet, and this was
Yeah,
one of many
and
that was
that-
picked for that.
I understand, but it just seems weird. You're going to get rid of it, and then when we need something, we're going to get something new. When this didn't even have 100,000 miles, I get it about the fleet reduction. Can't it just sit somewhere till we need it again? I just
Okay.
thought it does seem like. All right,
At the-
okay. On to my next stuff. Sorry, and these are all. They all say for fleet reduction. So here's a Dodge Ram. Dodge Ram. 67,003 miles. That's amazing to me that's.
It is amazing you got that many miles out of a Dodge.
Oh, please. They're good. I don't have one, but if I could have, I would have. I think they're great. Oh, bull. They're a good truck. It's a very good truck. All right, you guys make jokes, but I'm telling you, something's weird. Okay, then I'm going to skip this because everybody's just going to laugh. But that was it. I'm. This bothers me for reduction, and so we get rid of stuff, and then in future budget, we need another. I don't believe you can say 67,000 miles is a lot of miles on a Dodge Ram. That's
70,000.
67. 67.
70,000. Never mind. I don't want to defame.
Okay, so I think the council understands your concerns about these vehicles.
Well-
Mr. Kremen, and then we'll move to this side.
Very briefly, I just want to say, I can sympathize with you, and sometimes I can agree with you on some, vehicles with low mileage. But in this particular cases here, we're talking about fleet reduction, and we should be thankful that they have low miles because we'll more than likely get more money for them from when we sell them at auction, and we won't be replacing them. So I think that this is actually a good thing, what you've brought before us, to have this much of a fleet reduction. I will commend the either staff or the administration, Executive Laus, because I think it's a wise move, and I support it wholeheartedly.
Mr. Browne.
Mr. Abert, just correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is a lot of the older vehicles would have lower fuel economy than a newer replacement. Would that be correct?
That would be correct.
And then the other thing is, my understanding is that approximately 2000, the industry brought in a whole suite of safety things like ABS brakes, comprehensive airbags, etc.
Certainly, the newer vehicles will
Right.
have the improvements in
So-
safety and things. I can't speak to the exact year that there were any major changes. But
Right,
generally,
but my again, I'm not expecting you to. But my point is, I'm supportive of this in part because I think you're going to have lower operating costs with the newer vehicles, and frankly, greater safety for the drivers. So,
Mr. Mann.
I see we had 2 totaled vehicles. I can understand what happens with the sheriff's vehicle. Is there anything you can share with us about the engineering vehicle that got totaled, the Freestar van?
Yeah.
doesn't ring a bell.
So we didn't.
I mean-
no one got injured, or we didn't end up in a lawsuit or something like that.
I
Okay, good.
don't have the details of every single vehicle, but anybody who wants specific information, if you just request it, and we'd be glad to provide it, and whatever detail you want.
Ms. Brenner.
Well, this isn't about trust because trust is supposed to be trust but verify. And my concern is, and I don't know how you can, I mean, it sounds great to say reduction, but we keep getting budget amendments for new equipment, for new this, for new that, and I hear what you're saying about safety. Well, we should just destroy all we got and start off with this year's models of everything so we have the safest vehicles. I don't buy it, and I just feel like there's no way that we can really, we just have to trust and not verify, because you guys could come back to us with another name of another vehicle and it could be doing what this does. And not that I think you would, but you never know who's going to be there eventually. And I'm not planning on going anywhere, so it could happen. Okay, I'm done.
All right. I'm confused now. I don't even know if we've had the public hearing yet. Okay.
Oh, good. That's right. Nobody.
And I move to approve.
All right. So we have the motion in front of us. Any other discussion? It's a resolution. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
So that passes 6-1 with Councilmember Brenner opposed.
And I want you to know the last time I did support it, so it's not like I'm just anti.
I don't believe it. I want to see the proof.
Well, it was a vote.
I trust but verify.
It was a vote. I will find the vote on the last one.
You find it.
All right. The Whatcom County Code Title 20 to allow packing houses and slaughterhouses in the agriculture, heavy impact industrial, and rural and industrial manufacturing zoning districts. Public hearing. There's no one signed up, but anybody that wants to speak is welcome.
Terry Wexler from Bellingham again, and I'm going to take off my taxpayer hat and put on my attorney hat. I'm also the attorney for the appellants in the appeal of the original slaughter and no, at that time, packing house piece of that ordinance. The preamble to this version says, I think as most of the previous ones have, that one of the purposes of this is to settle the lawsuit, and it's not actually based on mutual discussions. You've been seeing the emails, so you know that there are still issues that the appellants are concerned about, and I think primarily, and they're thinking in terms of farming and small farming and the whole big picture here. You're very close. This distinction between the 2,000, 7,000 and the agricultural district makes a lot of sense, and the reference to the fact that there's a reference for that 2,000 square foot size that's very close to what the original applicant, Mr. Claycamp, that started all this ball rolling in the first place, wanted. So the question is, why then, if you're going to rezone RIM and heavy impact industrial to allow both slaughter and processing in those districts, have the larger facilities over 2,000 and below 7,000 square feet in the agricultural district? They can be placed in those other two districts. The other issue that I raise is I like Tyler Schroeder so much, but I disagree with his assessment of the type of SEPA review that was given particularly to the rezone of RIM and heavy impact industrial. The public was never asked for input on that, on those rezones. There's been virtually no SEPA whatsoever in terms that, that would resemble anything that has to do with process involving public notice. I think that really, because you've got 3 districts now being rezoned, that the most appropriate thing to do is write into the statute that whatever you do in whatever district requires site-specific SEPA review. That's only asking for a threshold determination. But that means that the 3 critical areas that are not exempted in ag, planning could have an opportunity to look at more closely under the rubric of SEPA and not a permit process. It means that neighbors and the public would get some notice and an opportunity to talk about the siting of a specific proposal, particularly in the ag district. I don't think asking for that SEPA threshold determination is that big.
30 seconds, please.
Thank you. I don't think that's very onerous for proponents, and I think that given the potential impacts of the larger facilities, that it's a fairly reasonable request. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to speak to us on this issue? Seeing no one else, I'm going to close the public hearing. What are the wishes of the council?
I'll move we approve it.
So there's a motion to approve in front of us. Any discussion? Ms. Brenner.
Yeah, I just wanted to give some comments in answer to what Terry stated, because I think some of her issues are very valid. I think we have moved this thing so much that I don't think anybody's perfect with it, but that's probably a good thing. But the thing about the heavy impact industrial and those other zones, those are for bigger projects, and they will get more scrutiny, but they also it costs more to build in those, and they have public water, and that's one of the reasons is there's usually water availability in those areas, and especially with heavy impact industrial, it's not going to be near, residential, or there's isn't there a buffer between our heavy impact industrial? Yeah. So I can see that they would be treated quite a bit differently than the ag zone. And I'm not saying I support everything in it, but I would like to get this passed so we can see how it's working. And it's not like we don't understand it, we don't know about it. I'm sure anything we pass, there could be some things we want to amend at some future point, but I think we did a good job bringing in the wording for the heavy impact industrial in the other zones. So,
All right. Any other comments? I guess we're ready for the roll call.
Sam Crawford,
Yes.
Pete Kremen,
Yes.
Ken Mann,
Yes.
Carl Weimer,
Yes.
Barbara Brenner,
yes.
Rud Browne,
Yes.
Barry Buchanan.
Yes.
That passes unanimously.
Can I just add one? We are now officially called the Slaughterhouse 7. I don't know if everybody saw that email, but the Slaughterhouse 7 gang. I didn't know if it was going to be unanimous, but.
All right. We're going to move on to our open session. This is where members of the public can come up and speak to us about whatever they like for 3 minutes.
Oh my gosh, we haven't done open session.
No, but it's still light out, so it's early. And it looks
That's
like
a lot
Mr.
of
Brown is going to lead us off this evening. And the same rules apply. 3 minutes, you're going to get a warning at 30 seconds. You know the drill.
Yeah, Greg Brown, Whatcom County. Shouldn't take that long. Council and primarily Carl, Chair. When I came in this evening and was at the table back there trying to decide if I was going to speak at the hearings, there was a woman there trying to sign up for open session. And I told her, well, no, she didn't have to do that. She just go sit down and you can speak freely in open session. Well, it's 9 o'clock. She left about 10 minutes into the first hearing. I know this schedule came about under the last chair, and I was against it then. I think this format for this schedule discourages public comment. And I think you guys should really rethink this. And we used to have some pretty robust open comment periods in this session, and we're not getting anything anymore. So, and watching this lady get up and leave, it's kind of a little disheartening. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else this evening? See no one. I'm going to close the public session, and we're going to move on to our. Oh, we got Ms. Brown.
Well, I have a question.
You got to.
Karen Brown, citizen, Whatcom County. In our agenda, you have your introduction items, and there's something that's included in one of the introduction items. Is that fair game or not?
Sure.
Okay. Unless I went delving into the computer, I wouldn't have known. But it's the, let me find it here. I'm so sorry. Somewhere here, there's one on a budget request.
2.
Number 2. Okay. Of that introduction item on number in there is included money for drones. Do we need that in Whatcom County?
I don't think so.
Well,
I mean, I
if
don't
you
think
check
I asked today.
You asked today?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I
Sorry, what
specifically
page
said
are you on in the
drones.
agenda?
Well,
number
I
two
just
on
have
the
this
consent
one.
agenda.
I don't have my one I had earlier today.
No, are you on 287?
Well,
on
that's the grant thing for
ballistic
the
armor
budget.
plates? And
I haven't looked at the budget.
It was the one. It was $140,000.
That's the introduction item from
Last time? Okay, no wonder I can't find it.
So you want to
Item
Well, while
number,
she's doing that, the undersheriff said that the Whatcom County.
item number 2.
That's what I said.
Yeah,
Budget.
she's talking about something else.
But I don't know about
It's
any
not,
drones. He said they're not
drones aren't in there.
getting any drones. I distinctly said drones.
Sorry, it was confusing.
Hey, we're confused all the time. Have you been watching?
Okay. In number 2, there's $790,206 requested, and it's broken down. And I don't have the breakdown with me, but I did earlier. And on there is a request for in administration, and it's for $140,000.
And it
And
says
it's-
drones.
It doesn't say drones. It talks about the pictures it's going to take.
Pictures is going to. Well, we do in a plane. They do aerial pictures.
Okay, so
already.
we don't have any drones in Whatcom County. We don't
I
have
asked
any.
today, and they're not asking for any.
Okay, so if I shoot one down that
Well,
flies
wait a
over,
minute. If you shoot it down,
This is the $130,000 in information technology for pictometry project is the flyovers that we contract for by plane to take pictures, aerial views of Whatcom County that we then superimpose into our GIS system.
which we've
And
done.
we've done this for years and years and years
okay,
and years.
so those drones that
Those
fly
aren't
over,
drones.
They're not drones.
I can't shoot it down.
We're renting an airplane or a helicopter. You can shoot it down, but I
Oh.
do want you to know you'll probably be in big, big trouble if you do that.
Well, yeah, those drones aren't very big.
No,
They're not a
you can't
helicopter.
shoot it down. You can't.
So, but we are not flying any drones in Whatcom County.
No.
Period. No.
Period.
Swear to God.
Well-
Okay.
I can only tell you what the undersheriff
Not
said.
with our money.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just double
Crawford?
checking.
Not that I know of. I don't know whether there's any other jurisdictions that have them or not. Seriously.
Okay.
Well,
Now
good we got
Martians.
that out.
This is probably inappropriate because this isn't time for open dialogue, but I just want to respond if there's any desire to have further discussion about this. I have recently suggested that our Public Works Department would benefit from the purchase of a small quadcopter that's photography capable to study river erosion projects, and I'm interested in pursuing that. I've brought it up. I have not received any feedback from the administration that they're pursuing it, but I see some benefit to that, and at some point would like to pursue it. But yeah, it'll probably become a big controversy that we're spying on everybody, and who knows.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else this evening?
This is getting more interesting.
Carol Perry, Whatcom County. I wanted to commend Councilman Browne because today there was so much talk about public outreach. And that's a little, I wasn't going to say anything tonight, but I just wanted to say thank you about your comment about acronyms because it takes literally years sometimes to understand what's being said here. I know Councilman Brenner said a year or two ago to her other council people, you live in a little bubble or a little world of your own because of the words that you use. And I think more than anything else, as far as public outreach, and I've had some experience in Clallam County and Lewis County because of some probate work that I did, talking to people in other places. A lot of people have stopped coming to county council meetings because they can't understand the language. And there was just a little comment in the Planning Commission meetings. There was a plea for plain language. And if you go to a meeting where you can understand, you can, well, how can I say it? When I try to tell my friends sometimes about the meetings that I go to, there's planning department, there's planning commission, there's planning unit. And I really appreciate your little comment about that, because it really is a language. Even today in one of the committee meetings, I was in the surface water meeting, and then the acronym didn't make any sense to me. So just that little thing would help the public, I think. So keep up the good work.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to close the open session. Mr. Browne.
I just feel obligated for the record to correct the county executive that it's not okay to shoot stuff down.
Yeah.
Oh, I said they'd be in big trouble.
No, but you said it was okay.
You
They'd
said
just be in
she
big trouble.
could,
I said
but-
a person can do that, but they'd be in big trouble.
Wow.
Yes,
She can't.
I think the official county council position is it's not okay. You're not allowed to do it.
Okay, I agree.
All right, we're going to move on to our consent agenda before we deteriorate anymore.
Mr. Chair, the Finance Administrative Services Committee met today, considered the consent agenda items 1 through 8, recommended approval unanimously on all 8. I will add that they modified, per the executive's request, item number 3 to add the words after the words international borders of the United States, comma, that's the last line of item number 3, and authorize executive to enter into subrecipient agreements resulting from this grant agreement, comma, in the amount of $447,391. With that, I guess I can make that as part of my motion, that amendment to recommend approval of all items 1 through 8 on the consent agenda.
All right. So all the items are in front of us. Anybody want to pull anything? All right. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Those pass unanimously. On to Public Works.
We discussed a resolution commencing the Coordinated Water System Plan update process, and another acronym. And we requested that the executive come back in a couple weeks with information from some of the interested parties to help make it more palatable while still maintaining the purpose of it. And we voted to do that. It was a unanimous vote. So it's been held.
Okay.
How about the Point Roberts?
Oh, that's under other business. They didn't have that here.
All right.
It was just a vote.
We can do it under other business then. We have an appointment to make. It's a request confirmation of the county executive's reappointment of Jana Finkbonner to the Northwest Senior Services Board.
I move approval, or approve, or confirm.
Confirm.
All right. Motion is to confirm Ms. Finkbonner. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. We are on to other items.
What about introduction?
Other business. Well, let's do other business.
Oh, okay.
I don't care. Yeah, let's do the introduction items. There's 6 introduction items. Is there a motion to accept?
Move acceptance.
Any discussion? All those in, Mr. Browne.
Sorry. I was just impressed to see that our war on drugs number has dropped down to 2K for marijuana issues. So,
All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those pass unanimously. Now we're on to committee reports. Ms. Brenner.
Yeah, we had a discussion in committee today about creating the Point Roberts scenic route that would, and this is amazing. This is a public works project, and we're talking about probably 500 to 1,000, maybe even double that. I've never remembered a public works project being that inexpensive on anything, because it would just be for signage. And they made a great presentation, and there was also the ones who made the presentation were John and Armin from the Point Roberts Conservation Committee. And they also had taken it before the Point Roberts, more acronyms, the Point Roberts Advisory Committee? Citizens Advisory. I know I left something out. Citizens Advisory Committee, and they also endorsed the concept. So this would be to get this moving so that the parties in Point Roberts can meet with the executive and Public Works to put something together to bring back to us. So this is step one. And I wholeheartedly support it, and I recommend we approve that concept.
Okay, so that's a motion to recommend that concept.
Yep.
All right. Any discussion? All those in favor?
I'm just curious, and I know we'll pursue this, and I missed that discussion today. Is there anything, has the county ever done a scenic thing on county roads before?
I don't know. A lot of counties have.
No, but I mean, have we?
I don't know.
This is just for signage.
So this is a new thing for us.
No, this has nothing to do exactly with the roads, work on the roads. This has to do only and specifically with signage. So I want to make sure nobody thinks we're talking about,
Yeah, but we're
widening,
designating
moving,
it.
No
I'm just
sidewalks,
curious.
no nothing. Yeah, it's signage, period.
Okay, but this also involves us formally designating it as a scenic route. Is that correct?
I'm pretty sure we would.
And we've never done that before. That's all I wanted to clarify, just to make sure I
Probably
understand.
we never
Yes,
did
the
that.
answer is yes.
It's not
Yes,
comparable
okay, yes.
to any other project we've ever done.
No, it's actually really inexpensive.
I wasn't even thinking
Okay.
about the cost.
Any other comments? All in favor of that concept motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Reports from other committees. Mr. Buchanan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This morning we had a presentation in the Natural Resources Committee. It was an update on the Water Action Plan. Tyler gave us a great presentation. We went over objectives and goals of the program. We went over the priorities, and specifically we talked about water quality, water quantity, and Lake Whatcom and the TMDL and the things we want to do there, habitat issues, compliance with the NPDES, which is the national, I want to get this right, Tyler, help me out. Okay, National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System.
You don't like the acronym, is that it?
No, I'm just explaining that.
He was trying to say what it
I was
meant.
trying to say what it meant, yeah. We talked about flood preparedness and floodplain management, and we were provided a matrix on a lot of different programs. Many of these line items were highlighted that were the most, the highest up on the priority list. And we'll be talking next week at our surface water work session about funding needs and how we go about accomplishing this. So, end of report. It was for information only.
All right. Mr. Crawford.
For finance, if all council members would turn in their packets to page 3 right now. Page 3. It's the yellow pages.
Oh, yellow page 3?
Yes. And you'll see the continuing items from the consent agenda at the top of page 3. Right? It's the last item on the consent agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, now go down below the last item on the consent agenda, and what do you see on the Finance Committee's agenda?
County Executive's Report.
And how many council members do you think beyond committee members stayed for that today? Just give us a wild guess.
7.
I can't remember if I did. Where did it say county?
It was memorable, huh?
What?
So the question is, since we learned in that report today about a lot of things going on that Whatcom County government has been involved in for the last 2 weeks, involving literally hundreds of thousands or even millions of taxpayer dollars.
And the answer to the meaning of life.
And the what?
And the answer to the meaning of life.
Well, almost. So the question I have is this not going to work? Or are you really happy it's there and you don't have to attend? If you put it in the afternoon Public Works Committee meeting, quite frankly, that might be inconvenient for me to go. So I'm not offended at all if you don't want to stay to the end of the finance meeting. My question, though, is the brief report the executive gave today was very valuable information. And you're probably, the ones that weren't here are probably really wondering now what he said. And I'm not even going to tell you.
I'll read the minutes.
But it is interesting stuff. And do you want to move this to the night meeting? We had this discussion a few weeks ago. We said, well, we'll put it at the end of finance. But since everybody was physically here in the building but chose not to attend, I didn't know if that indicated that was a bad time. That's And I think that I didn't talk to the executive about it, but I suspect he's kind of wondering that too.
Yep, good discussion, because that is the discussion we had about when this should occur, so everybody has it. And I wasn't physically in the building. I had left the building by the time it happened.
Okay. Me too.
It would help me if it was at the beginning of the Finance Committee meeting, because like today there was no Finance Committee items that I needed to stay for.
Right.
So I didn't want to hang out waiting for him. If it had been up front, I would have stayed and listened, and then I would have left.
I'm glad you're sounding just a little bit defensive because I'm trying to guilt you into.
I'm not feeling particularly defensive. Ms. Brenner.
I don't feel defensive at all. I didn't see it on the agenda.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to remember something that was stated casually at the end of our meeting 3 weeks ago. I think if it was put in there, I would have stayed.
No, it's on the agenda.
It's on the agenda.
It is?
Page
Where?
3.
Page 3.
Top left.
Big red letters.
Oh, I'm on the wrong page. Wait a minute. 1, 2,
Mr. Mann.
3.
I will say that I am feeling guilty.
Where?
And I did forget it was on the agenda, and I will be there for the next one, but it would be much better if it was at the beginning of the committee, but I generally try and be around for Finance Committee anyway, but I think at the beginning would be better for everyone.
Since we're sort of in an experiment. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was in the wrong page.
Mr. Kremen.
3.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that Councilmember Crawford brings up a valid point, and I do think that the executive's report should be at the beginning of the Finance Committee, or at least near the beginning, or and either at the very beginning or near it, and a time limit of 3 minutes with a 30-second.
We won't do that. But just to conclude, Mr. Chair, if it's all right with Councilmember Browne and Councilmember Buchanan, let's try moving that to the start of the meeting. We'll go through a few meetings, see if that impinges. I think our concern in doing that we discussed last time was, well, finance often is an overloaded meeting, but let's try it and see, and at least maybe some folks will attend.
All right. Ms. Brenner.
And I'm kind of a victim of process and stuff. It didn't have a number next to it. I got as far as number 8, and I didn't even notice.
Could we indulge all the council members and ask if he probably doesn't have his notes with him, but if the executive could briefly, it only took him about 3 minutes to rattle everything off. Could we do that now? You guys would probably
like
it.
How about the next?
Wow, they don't even want to hear it now. Okay, all right, fine. No, I back off. That's all right.
I saw heads shaking no and moans going on. So
it's already.
He'll send you a.
I think it would
all right.
be wasted.
We are on to other items.
He's saying no too.
There are other items of business. Mr. Browne.
So apparently this July 1st is the 25th anniversary of the SSC's recycling program. And as someone who used SSC to great effect as a partner in eliminating all the waste from our business, I just wanted to acknowledge them. I think they do a fantastic job, and they're a real asset to the community. And I hope they're here for another 25 years.
All right. I do have an emergency ordinance I'd like to pass this evening to ban fireworks. I was wondering who's interested.
Rosie would love you.
Just joking. So would my dog. Just joking, although there might be support the way it looks. Any other business or items from council members?
I have a question for the clerk. We had some resolutions at the end of this. What's the sequence for bringing those in? Right at the end of the packet, there was 2 resolutions.
Are they the 2 that are listed under introduction?
Were they introductions?
The boards and commission changes?
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. My apologies. Yeah,
okay.
That's fine.
All right. Anything from Mr. Buchanan? Mr. Mann? I was just going to say that we had a very good Lake Whatcom Policy Group meeting earlier last week, I guess it was, and got an update on where we're at. We're really kind of fine-tuning some of the stuff, and looking at the need for some concerted effort to come up with local money, about $300,000 more to fill in what's been supplied by grants, since we can't count on those. Also, the next Lake Whatcom Policy Group meeting is on July 14th at 1:30, and I can't be there, and we've tried to make sure that we've had 2 members of each council there, so if there's anybody who wants to fill in for me at that meeting, That would be great.
Is that a Wednesday?
That's a Monday.
Monday.
At 1:30.
I'm interested, I think.
Okay, well.
I can probably do it too.
Okay. Oh, okay, the two of us. Well, who's the other? You're one. Who's the other?
Oh, Barry and I.
Oh, so you're not going to be there either, Barry?
I'll be there.
Okay, well, Barry.
But
Then
if-
Ken can do it. Ken can do it.
Monday the 14th?
Yep, 1:30.
Okay, yeah, I can go.
Okay, that'd be great.
But if I can't, if something happens, I'll call Barbara.
Okay.
Perfect. The other thing I was going to ask is it came out that our water work session, surface water work session next Tuesday, Mr. Crawford said he was not going to be there, and I'm not going to be there. I have to be in Dallas in July, which is just lovely.
Oh, gross.
So I just wanted to make sure we were really going to have a quorum for that meeting. Is everybody else going to be in attendance?
I would be, but if we want to reschedule to have everybody there, is that I don't know. Is that going to be
Mr. Crawford.
Councilmember Weimer, I just want to let you know I talked to Jill today, and whether she's taking the minutes or the clerk is or whoever, they're going to try to place the mic, and she said that little recorder usually picks it up, and then they're going to try to recreate an audio file pretty quickly, within a reasonable time after the meeting. And then I also talked to Ty, and he's going to get us the meeting materials. So
perfect.
You and I are covered, man. We just
All right.
won't be there to say anything.
All right. That might be for the best. All right, Ms. Brenner, anything?
Yeah, I think just about everybody went to the play put on by the Lummi Nation. What about those promises? And I was so impressed with the quality. The executive was there too. I was so impressed with the quality of that play. And I guess one of the things that impressed me the most too, not only was some of it history I really didn't know, but there was a group of young ladies who sang that song, and I heard it one other time. Maybe it was at that other function we attended, but they're going to be coming out. I heard they're going to be coming out with a CD, and they've got voices like angels. I was just amazed. So if anybody gets a chance to see that play at another time, I think it's well worth it.
Mr. Kremen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I too attended, and I think almost every council member was there, which was quite impressive, I thought, that we all showed up. I thought it spoke well of this legislative body. But what I wanted to say is that coming up a week from Saturday on the 19th of July, the annual Raspberry Festival is going to be held in downtown Linden on Front Street, and it's always a fun event, and they have a hoop shoot there and lots of things going on, and it's nice to support these community events and celebrations, and I just wanted to inform everyone that this is going to be happening. I think it starts at 9 o'clock in the morning and goes till about 6 o'clock in the evening. So if you're able to enjoy and participate, they'd be more than happy to see you in downtown Linden on the 19th.
All right, thank you. Mr. Crawford? All right.
I do have one item that I would like to report on this evening that I did report on at Finance, and that is that we had a successful handoff from Bellingham Fire to Fire District 7 on July 1. The changing of the guard went seamlessly, and I'd like to specifically thank Bellingham Fire Department, Chief Newbold, Fire District 7 with Chief Gary Russell, and all of the officers and men and women of those departments in working together to make this transition happen. From where we were at 2.5 years ago when the mayor and I took office, and the challenges and the difficulties that we had at that particular time, and the tough decisions that have been made over the last 2.5 years to make this happen on July 1 is a testament to the dedication of the men and women of our fire services, and I'm very, very pleased with all of the work that they've been tasked with and what they're being tasked with in the future. The Technical Advisory Committee is working together extremely well, very professionally. The Executive Oversight Board has met 3 times now, I think, since its inception, and those have been positive meetings. Also, we're looking to the future and as it relates to funding. But I think that that's a real success. Do appreciate the Whatcom County Council and the Bellingham Council for their approvals of this vision that was moved forward. Also, it took a team effort to be able to make all of this happen. I think that we're making some good inroads in terms of the cooperation and collaboration between all members of our fire services throughout Whatcom County. So that's, I think, a huge positive piece of news for all of us, and I just wanted to have the opportunity to relay that to the council and to the community. So congrats to all, and thank all of the fire services for working through this very, very difficult and sometimes contentious issue, because it has had some impact directly on people's jobs and some of their maybe some of their dreams and desires. So it hasn't been easy, but we have it accomplished. So that's the end of my report.
Great. Thank you. Seeing nothing else, we are adjourned.